Oh, my eBay package. Welcome everyone to another Sledgehammer review. I'm your host, Dr. Sledgehammer, and in this box I've got a special treat for you today. Now, I ordered this box a couple of weeks ago. Let's see if everything is alright. Seems to be it. So, recently I have been thinking that it would be rather cool if I covered one of my favorite game franchises from my childhood. So, in the next couple of weeks, we're gonna cover the entire Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game franchise on the old Nintendo and the old Super Nintendo. So that's 5 games in total. To those of you who do not know about the Turtles, around the time I grew up they were a pretty big deal. They quickly became a household name. I mean, they first appeared in a comic book series around 1984, and by 1987 we had a TV series and a shitload of merchandise that caused kids all around the globe to go into a turtle frenzy every time they saw a goddamn turtle anywhere. To give you a quick rundown of the story, a man named Yoshi was forced to live in exile in the sewers of New York. He was a former member of the Foot Clan, a clan of ninjas that really likes feet. In his free time, he petted 4 baby turtles and a bunch of rats. One day, the 4 baby turtles came in contact with a mutagenic substance that caused them to mutate into turtle humanoids, while Yoshi himself turned into a rat. Yoshi, who was now named Splinter, named and raised the turtles Leonardo, Raphael, Michelangelo, Donatello, and he also taught them martial arts. One day, while trying to save a journalist called April O'Neil from getting clobbered to death, the Turtles clashed with an old rival of Yoshi's called the Shredder. The Shredder, who was formerly known as Oroku Saki, is the new leader of the Foot Clan. He allied himself with a technologically advanced trans-dimensional alien called Krang, and he replaced the Foot Ninjas with robots instead. Shredder is trying to take over the world, and so on, and so on. Now you're probably asking yourself, why am I looking at games that could be considered relics by now? Well folks, I have a confession to make. I'm about to turn 35 years old soon. I'm practically a boomer, and boomers do boomer things. Besides, I used to play the 3rd game over and over and over and over again in my childhood, and I want to share my experience with you. But first, let's check out our first game. Exciting! I remember playing this game like 28 years ago. I remember liking it, but I never completed it. So let's see how I feel about it this time around. And spoiler warning, I am gonna try to complete the game this time around. For starters, I really like the music. It is not a standard Turtles music from the TV series, but it really gets me pumped up. The first game has such nice original songs. So we're starting out with a top-down view, similar to old RPGs. You walk around, you enter a dungeon, and then the game turns into a regular platformer. The first thing you will notice is that your main enemies are not foot soldiers like in the comic books and the TV series. Your enemies are all sorts of generic creatures that the developers came up with. Why is this guy on fire? Occasionally, a mini-boss who is a regular mob will prevent you from proceeding. They are pretty easy, you can quickly dispose of them and continue. Of course, the game also has a couple of actual boss fights in which you fight characters from the TV series like Rocksteady, Bebop, Mega Turtle or Shredder. Even the Technodrome makes an appearance as a boss fight. Now we have 4 characters in game. If one of them dies, you can either go and turn off your game console and do something useful with your life, like read a good book, make some sound investments. You either sell the apartment or there's gonna be problems, capiche? Do some squats. Perhaps get an education at your local college. On the other hand, you can just go and look for the dead turtle in some dungeon. And I can tell you right now that the game is broken. Donatello deals the most damage and he has the longest weapon. So basically, you make sure Donatello is okay and use the others as sacrificial lambs to preserve Donatello. Look at me. I'm abusing the long staff of Donatello. It can even defy the laws of physics. Here I'm at the end of the stage and I'm beating the crap out of Rocksteady. There isn't anything he can do about it but like it. The game is fucking broken, and I mean it. Look how easily I can beat the hardest bosses in the game by just abusing Donatello. The others just can't compare. But do not even think that this game is easy. It is actually legendary for being one of the hardest games on the NES. Now let's talk difficulty. I'm pretty sure most of you are familiar with Area 2. Shredder planted 8 bombs to blow up this dam, so we have to go underwater to defuse the bombs before the timer runs out. On your way over there you have a million obstacles hindering you from reaching the bombs, and worst of all, you have no idea where they are, as you have no map to look at. Now you're probably asking yourself, why is the underwater level so difficult? Well, here's the reason. You press the jump button to accelerate upwards. You accelerate too much, your turtle will continue going up and you cannot prevent him from moving into obstacles. If you stop accelerating for a while, you will fall down to the bottom of the sea and you have to click multiple times to prevent your turtle from falling further and move up again. So you have to balance the turtle in the water while simultaneously maneuvering your turtle through tight spots with the arrow buttons. The major problem is actually that the mechanic is something you are not used to and you are not gonna use again in the entire game. So why not just use the arrow buttons instead? Your best bet really is to use Raphael, Michelangelo and Leonardo as sacrificial lambs. Sacrifice them. Sacrifice these motherfuckers to the devil! Sacrifice this useless turtle soup. Fuck! Once we make it out of the underwater level alive, we get to explore this big ass map where we have to enter random dungeons to find ropes to move between buildings in other dungeons, and rockets to blow up obstacles on your way to other dungeons, using the turtle's party van. By the way, that damage I just took is directly transferred to my turtle that I'm using, which is total bullshit. In case you have not given up on the game yet, the underwater level is not the only difficult part of the game. No, let me show you a few things. Let's talk jumping. You have 2 types of jumps. One where you just gently tap the jump button to slightly jump up, and one where you press it and jump through the ceiling. Here I have to walk until 1.5 turtle feet go over the edge before I jump, otherwise I will not reach the other side. Here I have to smash my head through concrete to bounce off the ceiling. And here, I remember this.
You can just walk over it.
One of the biggest problems comes with some of the monsters not wincing when hit. Look at this here, I just hit that monster and it's still moving towards me, so I will have to get hit now and there's nothing I can do about it. This is also one of the reasons to pick Donatello. Monsters that require 2 hits from Raphael's short psi weapons only need 1 hit from Donatello. What is also bad is monsters constantly respawn, so if you dare to take a step back to create distance for another strike, the same monster will just respawn. It's an endless cycle. Monsters spawn out of nowhere. You often have no time to react to monsters as there are either too many of them at once or you are midair and have a bad hitting angle. And every time you redo a level, different monsters appear, so learning enemy patterns is impossible. Then you have monsters that you're apparently not supposed to kill in the first place because it would be impossible to kill them. I mean, this whole thing is a mess. I mean, does this seem like fun to you? You are just evading monsters while trying to avoid getting Donatello killed. And if he does get killed, you might as well just get the others killed as well and go for a continue. If you manage to reach the Shredder, he is pretty easy if you have Donatello, especially since the Shredder winces really badly when hit. You just keep jumping around these platforms and stick him until he dies. So that's Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles on the NES for ya. Really easy boss fights if you have Donatello. Ridiculous level designs with randomly spawning monsters that are sometimes impossible to react to. It is a mixed bag to say the least. Apparently murdering the Shredder magically turns the Splinter back into Yoshi. Excel my skills? What? How? how does it excel his skills? Now at this point, we gotta ask ourselves, when can the difficulty of a game be considered fair? What's the difference between this game and, let's say, for example, Dark Souls? Well, for starters, in Dark Souls, I'm in complete control of my character. I can learn enemy patterns. I can get out of every situation without a scratch as long as I learn the trick behind it. The game might seem like it puts you in impossible situations, but you can get out of everything. Besides, it doesn't let me put up with 3 shit characters with whom it is impossible to beat this game. I mean, try to kill off Donatello. Try to kill off Donatello and then try to beat this game. I dare you, I double dare you! You will spend most of your time going on pizza farming runs in which you go into a dungeon that contains a large pizza over and over again to fill up the health bar of your sacrificial lambs. The game gets a 5 out of 10 from me. I really like this game because it's unique to the Turtles universe. It has some great concepts in it, some nice original music. I'm pretty sure the game would have fared much better had the developers invested more time in it. However, it was already a big deal back in the day having a game made out of your favorite cartoon. Besides, it's like 32 years old by now. I gotta cut it some slack, I think. Anyway, on to the next one, and that's gonna be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the arcade game. Let's check it out. Well, it's a beat 'em up. Considering the martial arts in the subject material, it kinda makes sense. So we're already going to the right direction. But I can't help but feel like something's missing. I think I'm gonna need a second player.